African economy grew by 0.8% for the entire year of 2018. That's just ahead of National Treasury's expectation of 0.7% growth. This follows Statistics South Africa's determining that gross domestic product rose by 1.4% in the fourth quarter of 2018. Now, in the quarter, 4 out of 10 sectors measured contracted in size. Sub 1% growth means South Africa's debt-to-GDP levels are likely continuing to rise as forecast in the national budget, and such growth levels can't begin to scratch the surface in terms of achieving meaningful job creation.
Drags on the economy last year included the agricultural, mining and construction sectors. Mining activity was down 1.7%, with gold, copper and iron ore the key laggards of the sector. The construction industry had its worst year in 2 decades in 2018, with production there slumping 1.2%, while agriculture declined by 4.8%. A slowdown in the production of field crops and horticultural products crimped growth in the first 2 quarters, coinciding with the economic recession. According to analysts, the overall growth print leaves a lot to be desired.
Unfortunately, this number is not enough from a fiscal perspective to ensure fiscal sustainability, and it is not enough to reduce unemployment. So it is positive, and we're hopeful that momentum will improve over the course of this year, but that number in itself is actually quite worrying from a longer term and a sustainability perspective.
Despite a tough year for the consumer with a barrage of tax hikes, higher electricity and water rates and ever-rising fuel prices, the consumer continued to play its part in keeping GDP in check.
It is somewhat encouraging that the consumers were still doing reasonable in that quarter. Of course, we like consumers to be able to spend more, but the fixed investment story was still negative, so another contraction there, and this worries us.
The implication here is that not enough is being invested in the economy by both the private sector and the public sector in order for the economy to expand over the longer term. In the manufacturing sector, for example, there's been a decline in capital equipment investment within that sector for the past 10 years. As has been discussed for years, a policy structural overhaul needs to take place in order to turn the fortunes of the economy around.
I think we need to start addressing the cost of doing business in South Africa and make us more competitive if we want to get to the kind of growth rates that we need from a fiscal and employment perspective.
There's a lot that needs to be done to get the wheels of the economy moving much faster. It's likely, as the government cleans up state-owned entities, investments there may take away from other investment priorities which could help accelerate economic growth. Nompumelelo Siziba, SABC News, Johannesburg.